Okay, so now we're gonna install IsaacLab. So the first thing that you want to do is to activate the Python environment that we created, because that's where we're storing all the tools for IsaacSim and IsaacLab, and making sure that all the um, helper libraries have the correct versions that work with IsaacSim 5.1, which is the one that I'm using here. So I'm going to go ahead and activate IsaacLab 5. So that's the environment. So once the environment has been activated, you want to make sure that you are inside your users folder. And then you have to clone the IsaacLab repo from GitHub, right? So you're going to use this command here. I'm not going to do it because I already have this installed. So if I try to do it, it will just throw me an error. But I mean, not installed. I have this downloaded to my files. So once you clone it, it will create the IsaacLab folder inside your user folder, and it will have all the Python files and the original IsaacLab NVIDIA project folders that we're going to use, right? So here I have to go into my IsaacLab folder. There it is, and the following step is now to properly install all the IsaacLab components, right? So we have downloaded the project from GitHub. Now we're going to install all the components. So again, make sure that you are inside your user folder, IsaacLab folder here, and then you're going to use the install command. So what this will do is that it will install all the extensions and libraries. So while it does that, just to reiterate the difference between IsaacSim and IsaacLab, right? So on the previous videos, we have installed IsaacSim. And by the way, this is also a requirement for you to run any projects on IsaacLab, right? So you want to make sure that you have IsaacSim installed. If you haven't, go back to the previous videos and install it, or look at the previous steps on the tutorial that I'm going to reference in the video comments here. So IsaacSim is the software that renders 3D objects in a 3D environment, and that's the one that manages the robot simulations and robot 3D twins, if you will, right? So this is a software that can render the walking robots, humanoid robots, quadrupeds in a UI that you can see it in a 3D environment, right? And also it has a physics engine behind so that whatever is being rendered on the screen follows accurately all the physics patterns, gravity, friction, force, and all of that, right? So IsaacSim is the engine that simulates the world and the robots in a 3D simulation, right? But if you want to use it to run, to teach robots to do things, especially with reinforcement learning, that's when you need IsaacLab. So what is IsaacLab? IsaacLab is pretty much a library or a compilation of Python templated code provided by NVIDIA that help us to run reinforcement learning workflows behind IsaacSim, right? So IsaacLab is a Python code that teaches these robot simulations with reinforcement learning, how to do things, and all of this is simulated and rendered on IsaacSim, right? So we have installed the components for IsaacLab. As you can see, there are some dependency conflicts here because of version of some of the components or libraries that are not compatible with IsaacSim 5.1, and if we try to run it, it will crash. IsaacSim will crash because of this conflict, right? So you want to make sure that you have installed the libraries with the right versions that are compatible. And these are the versions and these are the libraries, right? So for these libraries, you want to make sure that you have these exact versions. If you have anything different than that, again, IsaacSim will crash. So that's why we have to go ahead and reinstall these specific libraries with the correct version. Okay, so it swapped the version of these libraries. And now we're going to go and try to run a simple test to see if IsaacLab will open and run a simulation, right? So um, this I am, with this I'm calling a specific Python file here, a train template that will open IsaacSim and then run a reinforcement learning script behind. And the task that we are going to run is this Isaac Ant v0, which are a whole bunch of ant-shaped robots that will try to move forward, right? And if everything works well, we're gonna see IsaacSim rendering these robots moving in the 3D world, and then on the behind the scenes, we'll see the reinforcement learning uh, workflow going. Okay, so IsaacSim has opened and Isaac Lab is running on the background, right? So here you can see the spider robots. They're trying to move, they're trying to learn. And here on your terminal, you see the learning workflow and the iterations, right? So you have all the reinforcement learning attributes and parameters here, all your reward function, and how much it's learning, how much it's not. You have the mean reward. You have other parameters that tells you how the model is functioning, right? And as you can see, as iterations go by, uh, their movement starts to getting a little smoother, and eventually they will learn how to move forward, right? So this is the beauty of IsaacSim with IsaacLab running behind the scenes. You see here that IsaacSim is a really powerful 3D rendering tool that is able to render like thousands of replicas of robots that are all trying to learn at the same time. And by having them running parallel, this dramatically increases the speed of which they learn. And what drives the learning process behind the scenes are the libraries and the code provided by the project called IsaacLab, right? So this is how it works, and this is how you can install and run a simple project on IsaacLab.